Welcome everybody to another episode of SchitTV. I am Adam, your host. Today we are going to go into detail on one of my most favorite firearms of all times. That is the Norinco MAK90. We're going to go into the history of this gun a little bit. Not too deep, because you can definitely go down rabbit holes when it comes to assault weapon ban legislation, administrations, and import and export. You can really go down some rabbit holes, so we're going to avoid all that because it could make this video super long. In a world where there is thousands of choices, this could easily be glazed over because these are not being imported into the United States anymore. And I can tell you right now, if you have one or two or whatever, you are definitely holding something special. I wrote up a brief history of this gun, and we're going to go into that. And we're going to do, toward the end of the video, a show and tell. You're going to take a look at something that I kind of avoided bringing to the YouTube channel due to Connecticut's complicated gun laws. But I could tell you that I ended up purchasing this in early 2014. I started hearing of AK rifles being legal in mid-2013 based on the new legislation, the second assault weapons ban in Connecticut. So I definitely, when I heard that, I started making a plan of attack. I ended up purchasing a bunch of magazines before I even had the gun. And I was fortunate in that aspect because I was in the firearm industry, so I was able to, because I knew, I heard that this was going to happen because of the way they wrote the law. So that's a brief version of it. I can definitely go into detail on what happened, but I'm not. But it's totally legal. There's a lot of people in Connecticut who own these and other types of pre-banned guns. So I was lucky enough to get my hands on one, actually two of them. And for the longest time, I avoided bringing this to the YouTube channel just because I wasn't sure how this would be viewed. But after this third assault weapons ban, I kind of figured, what the heck? I have all the legal paperwork. I did everything I was supposed to do. So why not share this? So listen to my brief write-up of the MAK90, and we'll do a show and tell. And then in a few weeks, we will go out and shoot it together. Sounds fun. 6 assault rifle, chambered in 7.62 by 39 and cranked out by Norinco starting in 1990. Most of them came into the United States with a 3 or 5 round mag and wood furniture, including the unmistakable thumbhole stock. Officially, it's a sporting rifle, but come on, one look at it and you know exactly what it's trying to be, an AK-47. That's where things get interesting. A Chinese AK in disguise. From the Chinese perspective, the MAK90 is essentially an AK-47. A lot of them were built on the same stamped Type 56 receivers used for their AKM variants. Type 56 came in every flavor you can imagine, from short-barreled, folding stock models for tank crews, long-barreled bipod-equipped beasts. The key differences with the MAK90 is that it's semi-auto only, which let it slide into the US civilian market under the right legal loopholes. Norinco, by the way, is a Chinese state-owned arms manufacturer, and they've been churning out copies of other nations' guns for years. For example, Canadians can snag a Norinco-made M14 clone, supposedly reverse-engineered from rifles captured in Vietnam. And to this day, the Canadians still can buy imported firearms from Norinco and China as a whole. And this includes their plentiful stockpiles of ammunition. Why the Soviets weren't fans? Ask the old Soviet Union, and they'd tell you the MAK90 isn't an AK at all. That's because China never paid royalties or got official tooling from the USSR to produce AKs. So technically, these are knockoffs, patent infringing copies of the AKM. This is just another reminder that the USSR and China weren't exactly best buddies during the Cold War. They'd only cooperate when they had a shared problem, like US or NATO stirring up trouble in Korea or Vietnam. How the MAK90 got in. From the American side, the MAK90 isn't an AK. That's because in 1989, George H.W. Bush used an executive order to reinterpret the 1968 Gun Control Act, banning the import of assault rifles based on two criteria. By name, the AK-47 of course was on that list, and by scary looking features like pistol grips, bayonet lugs, holding stocks, and threaded barrels. The MAK90 though dodged the ban by being dressed up as a sporting rifle. It had a thumbhole stock, no bayonet lug, no cleaning rod, and even turned down threads, so no muzzle devices like the slant brake could be attached, making it as neutered as a Remington Model 700 in the eyes of Uncle Sam. One would think this is a Democrat AK under the hood. It takes standard 7.62 by 39 mags and runs exactly like every AK since 1947. And there are some advantages to these Chinese imports over later post-ban rifles. For starters, the MAK90s were imported as complete rifles with proper AK mag wells. A lot of later imports from the former USSR had modified mag wells that caused feeding issues, which is part of why some American shooters think AKs are unreliable. A MAK90 though, that's a real AK experience, minus the full auto fun switch. The Chinese knew how to make an AK. If no one screwed it up in the last 30 years, a MAK90 is about as reliable as it gets. The chrome-lined barrel will eat cheap steel-cased ammo all day long without a hit. Parts are quality, and you know you have a great AK. So what's the difference between an AK-47 and the MAK90? Basically, the MAK90 is an AK-47 that's been dressed up to pass American imports. No pistol grip, no bayonet lug, no threaded barrel, but it still functions like an AK. It takes AK mags. If you want a Chinese-made AK in the US, MAK90 is probably your best shot, unless the geopolitical winds shift and Type 56 imports suddenly open up. Yeah, don't hold your breath. The MAK90 is proof that where there's a will and a loophole, there's a way. Alright guys, this is the show and tell part of the video. Here she is. My Norinco MAK90. I got this thing exactly like this, minus the 75 round drum magazine. Ended up getting that well before the cutoff time for high capacity magazines. Landed that in 2013, so completely legal and declared. But yes, I wanted to show you it in its full glory. The person who owned it before me definitely did some work to it, meaning they ended up getting the Chinese furniture for this thing. Well, I think it's Chinese furniture. It could be US furniture, but they did a good job. It's nice and woody, just the way I like it. They did end up threading the barrel. The slant brake is not canted like it should be, but I'm okay with that. And the person I bought it from did tell me that it was threaded 14 by 1 left hand. I believe that's the correct thread. But as you could see, and as I went over in the video, they did neuter this gun by removing the bayonet lug. They replaced the handguard cap with one that doesn't have a hole in it, so you can't put a cleaning rod. Why they did that is beyond me. Cleaning rods are not assaulty or assault weapon ban features, but I guess it had to go along the whole spiel of sporting arms. So they did a lot to this thing. I believe the barrel was turned down or not threaded at all, so there was enough meat on it to actually thread it to the right thread pitch. I really wanted to have an original looking AK, and this is pretty much as close as I can get, unless I want to go with a fixed mag variant. There is, I think there are MPAP versions from, I believe, Century. I'm not exactly sure, but there are versions of AKs that are available in Connecticut, but they have a fixed magazine. So yeah, there's that. I'm not going to really get too much into that, but there's definitely a fixed magazine variant that you can get in this state. But this is a beautiful gun. But there was a time in Connecticut where pre-bans actually mattered, even before they banned this one by name. But now there's no such thing as pre-bans in Connecticut, so that's off the table, any type of pre-ban. But I've shot this gun quite a bit. I keep it in the safe a lot though, because it's one of my prized possessions, and I love this thing. This is my favorite gun in my entire collection, is this MAK90. I love AK-47s. I shoot them very well. I love the 7.62 caliber. It's perfect for me. I'm very accurate with it. But I want to show you something else besides this. Now this is a safe queen. By definition, a safe queen is a gun that you do not take out of the safe or shoot, and this is exactly what this is. I shot this thing maybe 1 or 2 times since I owned it. I bought this about 2 months after I bought that one. So I got that one in, I believe it was February of 2014, and I ended up getting this one in May, June timeframe. And I got them both for around $800. Go try finding a MAK90 for $800 today. But that's how much they were going for, because where these were coming from were places where you can get any type of AK, and who cares really about this? These were traditionally always cheap. Earlier in this video, I put some news clippings or magazine clippings of basically what they used to cost when they started getting imported into the country. I mean, you're talking $189, $239. But here she is. Beautiful. Barely used. This is in excellent condition. There is, I mean, you can still see the chrome on the tip of the barrel. But back when these things started coming into the country, people kind of snubbed their nose at anything that was communist type firearms, because you weren't a cool kid if you didn't own a Colt, Smith & Wesson, or Ruger. Those are the main guys and the main guns in the gun world. If you didn't own those, then you weren't cool. So I think Springfield was in the game too. So those are the 4 that were, if you didn't have that, then everything else is shit kind of attitude. And when China started importing these things into the United States, people just thought these were garbage, even the ammunition. That's why you were seeing cases of Chinese green box Norinco ammunition coming into the country for dirt cheap. You're talking pennies per round. So that's how it was back then. And stuff like this, $189, complete with magazines, everything you need. But this is a gorgeous, gorgeous gun. I have not, I mean, I don't know, you can zoom in here. Everything is absolutely brand new. The person I got this from, I don't think they shot it at all. If you look in the barrel, if you look in the action, you look at the piston rod, it's completely clean. So this is a gun. This is basically something that I just keep in the safe. You can see that. Let's see if we can zoom in here. See, there is threading on here, but it's turned down. So you didn't really do too good of a job That example back there is an example where they just used a non-threaded barrel. This example, they actually turned down the threads and they turned down or cut down where the bayonet log was, and even in the front here you can see where the compensator pin was turned down, flattened out, or even welded over and then painted. And even here you can see where it was once a hole for a cleaning rod. So I believe this is probably an earlier example or just a different side of the factory where they ended up doing some extra work to make this a sporting gun. Way more work than they did on that one. So again, that's why this thing is kind of special. It's all matching numbers all over it. It is in absolutely perfect condition. And again, this one came with the converted stock and pistol grip, not the thumb hole stock, which I'm fine with because I really didn't want the thumb hole stock. But beautiful, beautiful gun. One that I do not take out. So, but I am super happy that I ended up getting a couple, in my opinion, very good quality AK-47s. Just quick show and tell on this. I know this is not my normal type video, so I'm glad you guys are hanging in there with my giving up shooting for Lent. Stay tuned for the next video where we take this one out and throw some lead downrange at some steel targets. See how she runs after 5-6 years hiatus without taking her out. So it's going to be fun. And it should also clear out some of these magazines because I haven't in a while and showed some signs of rust. So again, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment to my channel. This is SchitTV. I am Adam, your host, signing off.